Everybody, okay, so we are here. It is the Real World Content team for May 2nd, 2022. And I was just about to tell this little story because yesterday my son had his first martial arts tournament at the Rose Bowl in LA, in Pasadena. So really, really cool location for his first tournament. And he got second place in his first match. The first, he was the first fight for his age range and 7 years old. And he was definitely nervous. He was kind of like not himself yesterday. He wasn't even talking like himself. He sounded like a completely different kid. I'm looking at him, I was like, man, you don't sound like you at all. And I understand it was like butterflies, etc. But a bunch of the other kids also had their first. It was their first tournament too, and there's all his classmates, but they were all kind of like normal. But my son for some reason just didn't sound like himself. And
he's like he's switching into warrior mode. He's unfamiliar with that territory.
Potentially. And so like he was so unfamiliar that when the ref called go and he was doing point sparring, the kid just came in and like just hit him really like quickly. He just went and kind of blinked, and there was like nothing happened. So he essentially lost that match. It was like first to 5 points, and I'm not sure if he scored anything. He might have scored 1 point, but I don't think he scored anything in that first round. So he got pushed out of like the first place opportunity. But then they had the second place. We talked in between, and I was the coach for his entire team. So we talked a little bit. I was like, hey man, just remember your stuff. And not to say that my talk to him ignited him in any particular way, but he came back and won his other round and against a kid who was pretty sharp.
Inspiration. My father's inspiration propelled me to victory.
Yeah, no, like I did give some good coaching yesterday to some of the kids where it was literally like I would call something out, they'd do it, and they'd get the point. I was like, yes, that was cool. But for the most part, the school itself had already trained them so well, and I just kind of gave a little augmentation to what they already knew. But it was great. My son came back, got his second place. It's one of those tournaments where for the little kids they give everybody a medal, which kind of pisses me off. Like, why are you giving these other kids that didn't win? Like, give them a certificate of like good job, but don't give them a medal.
Right.
But it was cool. He got his first place, his second place medal, and he was very, very proud. And so it was super dope, man. But I was like so tired yesterday, which is why I was like today. I'm just like, man, I kind of just want to like be free because be free of any particular schedule, etc.
Wild.
But it was dope.
Nice. Well, tell him we said congratulations.
Thanks, man. I want to apologize for last week too. And last week we had our Monday. We were essentially redlining on being able to extend our offering on WeFunder, and we've been talking about it for months, like literally. But for whatever reason, our getting the application in, the amendment filed with the SEC had to be done through WeFunder, which our lawyer had to put something together, which we've known about for a while, but it just took us a while to get a bunch of different pieces together. And then essentially like that Monday, they needed 5 days lead time, and that Monday was like 4 days lead time. So it was like a whole thing. And so I was like, man, like we got to get this done. And on top of that, like one of the things that I need to do personally for us to get to where we're going to go with Justice for Hire as our first like world, is essentially getting like hyper focusing on Justice for Hire as the first martial arts cinematic universe. And that's not branding that we're going to do like hard publicly. It's really more so of a hyper targeted branding that we would do specifically to the martial arts community and say, this is the first martial arts cinematic universe. Like we can turn JFH into a Fast and Furious for martial arts. And like the way we do that is by getting everybody up from all styles involved. And like I've spent so many years of like, how old am I? So I've spent like almost half of my life around like these martial arts kind of martial arts filmmakers. And what I mean by that is like there's only a handful of filmmakers that aren't 8711 that do the John Wick stuff, etc. But there's but pretty much all of them are part of one big family. They're all like Dan Inosanto, Bruce Lee's student, essentially created the foundation for like the Hollywood martial arts ecosystem. So almost everybody is somehow connected to the Inosanto family, and so I spent a lot of time around like the like these directors, etc., producers that are just putting together like these independent martial arts films and getting like as many of their of the martial arts community that's involved. Like, and I've watched them kind of do it over and over and over and over and over again. And the films are always kind of the same thing, where it's like justice, the cop, a good cop, a bad cop, like and so there's I think we have the opportunity to do something really different, and we've been doing it as a community. So like this is a long-winded way of me saying that I was like, man, I'm in LA, I don't want a car, I need to get a car. Let me go and like figure out about like doing some like auto financing. Like my buddy, I was like, man, like what do I do to get a car? Like I don't know anything about it. I call my buddy. He's like, go to this place and I'm gonna pick you up and take you. So last Monday, like my buddy, like the timeline got pushed around, and so he's taking me to get like an auto loan while I'm like working with our lawyer to get this stuff passed. And then like I'm in the meeting with the auto loan people, and then I realized that, oh no, we had a like it was not a normal Monday. And like honestly, like I was trying to figure out all week. I'm like, man, do I want to own a car? Like I just don't really. I'm such a New Yorker that I don't really want that. I haven't wanted it for a while. In the past, when I was like married with a car, I didn't like having it. I felt trapped in LA in a car, and it was just really, really interesting feeling. Not to say that I would have that feeling again, but I've been a little cautious of that. But essentially, like to give you a sense of what my new activity essentially is going to be to getting around to martial arts schools, is that I realized during the week, I was like, if I don't want a car, I could rent one, but it's super expensive to rent these days. And then I remembered that back in 2016, I essentially went like broke with a family. As a married man, broke with my family in LA, because I had Universal Music Group lined up as an investor for a $3 million investor for what has become ReelwUrld. And when they gave me the announcement that they were going to take another 18 months to finalize the deal, even though it was supposed to close in December of 2015, when I got that news, all my other investors that were follow-on investors that were they were essentially behind Universal, that Universal was going to lead the investment, like all of them pulled out. And it was like a horrible, horrible, but yet wonderful moment of growth. And so what happened was that, I like separation happened. I went back went to LA, was in New York, and like trying to figure out like, man, how do I like revamp my life here? And one of the things I started doing while like finally coming up with the name ReelwUrld, etc. I think even before that name was a thing, I was running around going to investor meetings while delivering for Postmates. And it was delivering for Postmates that blew my mind on how to revamp justice for hire for the modern world. And I was like, man, instead of being a brick and mortar, like vigilante heroes get hired and you have to go and find them, JFH should be an app. And it was like Postmates, that like inspired that. So I gained such a deep appreciation for the gig economy. So last week when I was like, man, like, should I rent this car? And I found out that essentially Lyft will give you a car if you like drive for them. I was like, hold on for a second. They'll give you a car and like you can return it any time. And as long as you drive to cover that rental, like you're good. I was like, dude, like, let me get a Lyft car, which I'm going to pick up tomorrow. And I'm going to do one ride per location. And literally, like, because there's so many martial arts schools, even where I live, there's like 10 martial arts schools, like in a 5-block radius. So I'm like, man, like I need to go to all these schools. We printed out Autumn designed some dope like flyer stuff. I'm going to go around with all these folders that will essentially say like first martial arts cinematic universe. and have stuff that I can walk in, talk to the master, have them put it up, and start funneling people into the cinematic universe and drive from location to location. Wherever the app takes me, I'm gonna like pause it, get out, hand somebody a phone, go into the martial arts school that's closest by, hand them a thing, and essentially like have that cost of traveling to all these schools covered by Lyft. So I'm very, very excited about this. That's essentially happening like starting tomorrow. And another thing I'm probably going to be doing with ReelwUrld that came to my mind today is like I'm going to take our popcorn stand. I got my son a popcorn machine, which you've seen this.
Yes.
And I'm going to take it to Hollywood Boulevard, and we're going to put ReelwUrld stuff on it. I'm going to have an iPad with the WeFunder on it, and I'm going to sell popcorn at equity. And I'm going to start that as soon as I get this like license, this tax license for like immediately.
Do it.
Dude, it's going to be like we just need to get this stuff out there in a way that's that's unique, you know? And it can't all be social in a world where it's like the social has to be there, but it has to be supported by some sort of real world activity. And
brick mortar.
So I'm like, this is like, what is the best thing for us to do with with the resources we have? I was like, might throw some merch in there, maybe some t-shirts and some comic books, just keep it in the popcorn machine. Be like, yeah, you can, invest. You like this? Invest in the company that owns it. So it's gonna be great. I'm very, very excited.
Nice.
You guys are the first people I tell outside of Autumn. I woke up this morning thinking about that. I was like, I'm constantly seeing one of my buddies, who's a very dope rapper named Neeks, who you met. Neeks.
Yes.
Okay, so you met Neeks. So Neeks told me a story back when he was like I don't know, in his early 20s, and he was going through some challenges with his daughter, and he had to he has a very successful fashion line. And when he started the fashion line, he would sell his t-shirts on the street and on Hollywood Boulevard to feed his daughter. And he was walking around with the shirts, and he would hand them out. Now, a bunch of rappers like Chris Brown wears his stuff, Young Thug wears his stuff. It's really, really great. And but I always remember that story. So I was like, man, how do I as a person who's been at Comic-Cons handing out postcards, how do I take that narrative and sell with that with that inspiration? And so I think that this WeFunder on an iPad with a popcorn stand, popcorn and equity, it's gonna be great.
Popcorn and equity.
Popcorn and equity. We got to hit $1 million in a handful of months, and so that we can actually expand the team in in a full-time compensated way. So it's gonna be great. So I'm very excited about it, guys. Just wanted to share this stuff with you guys because this is we're a team here, and this is this is a big part of getting the word out. But like I said, I was out of it last week in terms of last week's meeting. But how did it go with even with the prep for this coming weekend? How did it go with posting creators? Did you guys share creators' music from last week?
Oh no, that was that day. Like I mentioned, I said I might not have been able to get to it. But yeah, no, his stuff is amazing though.
It's super dope. I mean, even if you can't get to it on the Thunderclap day, please just do it.
Yeah.
At any if you can't do it.
I was gonna throw it up with my. My challenge.
Journey. Awesome. Yeah. Challenge, yeah. What I'm thinking is that every week the Thunderclap should actually be the team supporting the team. And rather than saying, hey, here's a graphic that I provide, etc. What do you guys have going on thematically, creatively that everybody else can augment? Because that's actually part of what we want people to do. We want people to be like, oh man, this, our community member over here is doing something dope. And when Creator messaged me last week, he's like, hey, can I, what do you think? Can I post this? I was like, this is actually really, really strong. And it deserves to be supported by us as part of his community. So I'm just like, well, hold on for a second. What's Guru doing that we could support? What's Sensei doing that we can support? etc. And so I think that's like really the theme, that unless there's something really happening, like a meetup or like a new trailer that's coming out, I think for the most part our thunderclaps should just be community supporting our community. And maybe it's not the three of us, maybe one of you guys is like, hey, Ragdoll's got something popping over here that we should probably all look at, or Juice, etc. Vintage has been going hard with his
Yeah.
TikTok. Vintage has been going real hard. I was like, man, you saw his power to the people thing,
Yep.
which was hilarious and amazing. He's like, power to the people, it's power from the people. Power's never been away from the people. I'm just like, I'm like, my gosh. Brendan.
Also, his video quality is always top notch. I'm like, whew, I gotta get on that level.
Yeah, he's really, really good at like quality of image. Like the quality of image plus his style choices. He's got a very unique set of like he's kind of got like a thematic, like a branded look for himself that he's always kind of switching up just little bits here and there. But he can, I can't say enough good about Vintage. Great guy. But yeah, guys, I mean, like I'm thinking that unless I remember, Guru, you had a thought 2 weeks ago that we were supposed to follow up on last week. But Jam was trying to figure out auto financing and extending WeFunder. So I'm totally down to explore, revisit that conversation if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm refreshing my memory on what I had said. Okay, so the idea essentially was that we'd make our own real world commercial as our characters from JFH. So you know how you know what is that one insurance company? It's not Allstate. Is it Allstate? No,
there's State Farm and Allstate. Those are the only insurance companies.
Like,
then there's Geico. Those are the three I know.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what was the one that does chaos, where the guy he's like, I'm chaos, or like, I'm the latest TikTok trend. That's I'm the latest hashtag that's trending, and like whatever, and like he causes the accidents and those things like that, and he's like, so you have to make sure you're paying attention and that you're insured because things can go wrong at any time. Chaos can strike, and he's always the chaos. Or early on it was people texting on their cell phone, or he was the cell phone underneath the seat. He's like, I'm your cell phone that dropped underneath the seat. He's like, if you could just reach me a little bit more. Oop, I have somebody calling me, bzz, bzz, making it more urgent, and the person's reaching down, and when they go to reach for the phone, they get into a car accident. Anyway, long-winded explanation for that. Sure. Essentially, I was thinking we could be in the middle of like a mission, and like we break the fourth wall for a second. It's like we turn and we notice, we're like, oh, hi, I didn't see you there. I'm Guru Rakava. What am I doing? Well, I'm a hero for hire. If you want to check out more of what I'm doing, you should check out ReelwUrld and invest or something like that. Like, going along with that kind of thing, breaking that fourth wall, having it still be like you're seeing something that comes from JFH, but that comes from like the JFH universe. You're seeing the heroes, you're getting to know them, not like in like a full backstory, but like something small, and then it draws attention immediately to where we would like it to go. If you check out the app, download the app, invest in ReelwUrld, blah, blah, blah.
I love that. No, that's great. That's great. I think so. To interesting thing there, like I think there's there are many approaches that this could be done on, but I think it was an Old Spice commercial that I was looking at, or some sort of like body spray commercial that I came across somehow briefly last night, because I don't even really watch. I don't even know how I would have seen this. I think maybe Autumn had the TV on for a second and I saw it. But anyway, it was like Dolph Lundgren reaching for a dude trying to help him up. And the guy was like, I think he sweated on the guy or something like that. He's like, dude, do you need like some sort of body spray? And I was just like, huh. But it was Dolph Lundgren from an 80s movie kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So
it was a clip from the 80s movie. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, I just saw that last night for the first time, and I was just like, huh, like, it might be interesting. Kind of like even like the trailer where for the Urban Action Showcase thing, where we have Yu Long like punching the alien saying, hey guys, like stop eating shawarmas, like, something like that, where if you didn't necessarily want to think too much about production value, that potentially we could use shots from other films that may not be, how to put it, it's not B-roll. It actually could be considered B-roll, but essentially like shots of like, you know, an alley from The Dark Knight or Batman Begins. Like you have the shot of the alley, or you have a shot of if you remember the first scene where they reveal Batman for the first time and they're surrounded by the stereotypical crates, you know, at the docks. They're at the docks, and Batman's about to come out of the shadows. But there are several shots of just the crates and the docks. And there's a bunch of movies that have crates and docks. So it's like if you were to look at, let's say, Project Power, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They have a dock thing there, and then they have Batman Begins. So you have these two, and even I think the first scene of Daredevil might even have for the Netflix show that might also may be on the docks. So you have all these films that have these textures, and if you were going to use that location, and all you needed was one, you know, yellow lit wall where essentially you have your phone and you're like looking around the corner, and then you're like, oh hey, you know, like I feel like all that stuff would intercut with that one shot of you just saying, oh, hey, I'm on mission. I'll be right there. Oh, hey, you know, like I'm just throwing an idea out on like.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely.
And that applies to any type of scene that you might want to do.
Yeah. I was thinking something along those lines. Yeah, we're in like dead center of one of these movies, or in that, and like, yeah, it just kind of fluidly goes into the oh hi, didn't see you there. Curious.
Dude, I mean, I think that's great. Mike, what do you think? If we have.
Sorry, mute. About which aspect exactly?
Oh,
cutting or the commercials in general?
Yeah, about potentially having this be the thing for this week, which is us creating a real world commercial, but as your character in JFH. What do you think about that?
Well, personally, I wouldn't want to mix in too many other things because that might throw people off. I'd say it depends on the length of the commercial and how coherent you want it to be. So our target is what here, like 30 seconds a minute? I don't know.
Well,
Just because the longer you make it, the more you're losing people, but also the more clear you can make your messaging.
True that. I think, if you don't mind me jumping in on this, Jan, real quick.
No.
So I think the idea wouldn't be you have a full on like scene within a scene. I think more so the idea would be the initial piece of the scene, like being in Batman or on the docks and about to round the corner. I think that's initially the hook and the setup for the commercial itself. And then, you know, like, or you grab the bad guy and you're about to like wrestle him down, and then you turn and look at the camera and you're like, oh, hey. And immediately you can go into your little spiel, which could just accumulate 30 seconds of actual like talking dialogue of the commercial. And then you finish the rest of the scene out by like, you know, finishing like grappling the bad guy, or taking off or disappearing, doing our heroic, how do we leave a scene, kind of taking things from the journey challenges and stuff like that, and we can kind of apply them slightly, like nothing too big, nothing too dramatic, nothing too like elongated, just something short, sweet, and to the point. Like, because I mean, don't get me wrong, Sensei, like you freaking like or don't get yourself don't shoot yourself short, because your freaking 30-second video was dope. Like, it made me rethink the video that I was making. I was like, oh snap, I should probably adjust this a little bit. And like, so yeah, like, and like, you're fully capable of doing the short, sweet, to the point. So I don't think, I wouldn't worry so much about it being too long or too mixed up with a bunch of things, because from what I've seen of you, you're able to like, you're able to give you the snippets and actually make it feel like something whole. So yeah,
Kind of trying to lean towards a TikTok friendly format there. I'm still using Instagram mostly, but you know, I spend some time on TikTok, and that's what you see is stuff that's just very quick, like almost like a children's cereal commercial is how I think of it.
Exactly. That's what I've been practicing with the most recent videos that I've been putting out. So yeah, I mean, that's why I was like, oh damn, man, you inspired me to like, let me see how much more I can trim down off of this, because I'm a long-winded person, if you couldn't tell.
There's a thing that's not bad. It's just in today's world, you have to know where to put the wind.
You said work with the what?
Oh, he said I was making a bad joke. He said where to put the wind.
The wind.
Yes.
Saying he was long-winded, I was trying to play off of that.
Oh, ah. Okay, interesting.
That
So,
sounds like some kind of weird Native American spiritual thing, but no, I'm Italian. I don't know that.
so this I mean I'm if this is something you guys want to go with, I think that's totally great. And then like like I said, any week that any of you guys have an idea, I think that it's one of you spearheads the idea, like the team follows along, and the next week if someone else has an idea, they spearhead it, and if no one has an idea, we just do a challenge or a mission. And our thunderclaps will just be supporting somebody from the community. And this week, if you guys, if Mike or Z, if neither of you guys have something like specific that you want to thunderclap out, maybe the thing is, maybe we should all blast out vintage, or maybe we should all blast out, like I think vintage's content right now like deserves some community like shout out. Like I really like what he's doing personally. I think it's very aligned with what we're doing, but also like it's as much his voice as anything should be of anything that comes from our community. It's like, this is him, but it's also us. And I love that. So I think it's a great example. So I mean, yeah, I'm like, if you guys both feel good, like, let's make that the thing today, and I'll relay to creator the video assignment for this week. Mike, you feel good with that?
That's good for me. I was thinking for another week, we were talking about what we do, and what I'd like to do is make DIY training equipment. I know I'm kind of one-trick pony here, but my last couple of videos have been about that. So I was thinking that could be something to do in the future. People.
Is this like home gym stuff that you've been doing? Home gym,
but specifically DIY.
Okay.
So the last video I put up, which I might regret, this was today's video, is how to make a tiny little punching bag out of a kettlebell, a towel, and a loose strap.
A towel and a loose. You said a towel and a loose rag?
Loop strap. Give me a minute. I'll just get it for you guys.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Kind of like fun people way.
I had a fucking phenomenal idea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering what you were doing. I thought you were telling somebody you were hungry.
So no. I was putting a pin in it so I didn't forget. So that's something I do.
Nice.
Hey, you get to see a quirk of mine.
That's great. I know. I love that.
It was each hero have their own segment of stuff that they do. Eventually, like each on the app. Like each hero, because each of us like to do different things. If we're gonna make this like an actual social media app as well as like the universe, each hero could have their own segment, like those that like to cook, those that like to do DIY stuff, to make it a little mini series of things that they can do that they just enjoy, so that we get to know the heroes a little bit more.
I totally with you. With you.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think like one of the values, it's like one of the values of what we're doing right now with even having a working app is, and Guru, can you also, while you're on here, could you just check and try to log into the app? Vintage had an issue that he messaged me this morning that he couldn't log in. Mike checked it on his end. I checked it on my end. But if you could check it on your end.
Yeah, that's
Vintage
weird, because I just logged in the other day.
Hmm?
Okay. I said that's weird because I just logged in the other day.
Vintage texted me this morning, and so like if you and Mike and I tested it today, but if you could just, if there's any issue, please let us know.
My guess is probably the autocomplete bug, where if you use autocomplete to log in with your email address, Sometimes it'll put a space in at the end. Then you can't log in.
Oh, that's
That could
interesting.
be it. If you're using autocomplete, a lot of people do.
Interesting. That's yeah, I know some
I mean, I log in through with autocomplete all the time, and it doesn't affect me the same way. Oh,
Then your keyboard probably didn't save yours as having a space at the end.
that's fair.
I mean, if it didn't, then it should work fine. It's not even really a bug. It's that the name field just shouldn't allow spaces. There's no need for them.
Yeah.
You can put a space and email address.
Yeah, and it's working perfectly for me. I just logged in.
Interesting.
Well, do that. Anyway, just to finish a thought. So loop strap, you get them at the hardware store, they cost $1. £5.
It's called a loot strap?
Loop.
Oh, loop strap.
Yeah.
So,
So,
isn't that no, it's not it's not okay. I just wanted to make sure it's like saying a circle round. You know, like I'm like, oh, isn't a loop and a strap the same thing? But I'm like, no, they're not. It's a shape of a
loop
strap.
strap, yeah. You know, it's got 2 loops, like a figure 8.
Okay.
So the latest video I did was explaining how to make this kind of thing, 5-pound heavy bag, 5-pound punching bag, it's more like an iron speed bag.
Oh my gosh, dude, you're punching a kettlebell with a towel on it?
Yeah, that's the thing. In some of these videos, I like to put in some disclaimers. I say this one can be a bit dangerous. I actually use a heavier one, but you know, this you hang in a doorbell in a doorway. It's a lot cheaper. Sorry, I'm being eaten by the weasel. Yeah,
You have a weasel there too?
not really a weasel.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
She's got a lot of pets, and I have a cat Dorsal coming through to visit. So, yeah. Anyways, I was just saying, if you're a bit saner and you care to take time, I've got a much better design that you can make out of an old pair of jeans. But that one I'm going to put up next week because that actually takes a minute. This thing an idiot can do in 2 minutes. The other one, it's safer, it's better, but you have to actually use a scissors. You can't be a complete monkey.
Dude, that's, I mean, my mind is still blown that I mean, that's, it's very, very karate of you.
I mean, that's the thing with karate is those guys would use a makuara, which is another really cool thing, but
are you talking about like the board on the metal thing that you punch and it goes back?
I guess that's one type. Usually they're a pole with like a rice bag or something around them.
Yeah, okay.
So again, that's not a 5-minute crafts thing. That's an all-day dig a hole, you know. And you need a post hole digger or a tamping bar or something just to get in there because, say, I'm about 5'9", so you can't be 5'9" because they'll knock it over. It has to go at least 2 or 3 feet into the ground. So to do that, you need like, minimum around a 9-foot pole that you're going to wrap up. So that's actually a cool craft. I could do one of those one day. But again, that's not a 2-minute video. That's what if you have the stuff already, that's like a 2 hour just to dig the hole, make it set right, pour your gravel and all that. It's like setting a fence post, pretty much.
Dude, I mean, like, I'm always so impressed by your detailed memory, all your past lives that come rushing to you in this one with all the different martial experiences.
Cheers. But anyway, that's something I would like to get into, is just how people DIY their own stuff.
Dude, I mean, I think that having like Z was saying, having series where heroes, like where we start to learn, where we're essentially each one teach one. I have an email coming out. Are you guys on my personal email list? I feel like I've asked this before. Are you guys on my personal email list?
No,
so sometimes I send out sometimes I send out stuff that makes its way into the real world JFH stuff, but I also have a personal newsletter that's essentially like my industry network and folks from martial arts, etc. Anybody that I've pretty much ever met that cares to share information like that. It's kind of one of those lists, but one of the things I'm putting out probably today, I probably just put it out a little bit because I totally forgot, is the concept of each one teach one. And it's often heard in hip hop. I actually did not know the history of the terminology. I just found out this weekend because I woke up hearing this writing in my head on Saturday, wrote a whole thing on it, and then as part of my research, I was like, oh wow, it was actually derived from early slavery, where the slaves didn't have access to education. So when one would learn how to read, they would teach all the rest. And when one would learn something else, they teach all the rest. And the terminology of each one teach one came up. So I had no idea until this Saturday. But I've always loved that term. And I've always loved it, especially from Guru from Gangstar. It's one of my pretty much the rapper that changed my life. And he's got a great line from like one of his earlier albums where it's like each one teach one so that we become a strong force so we can stay on course. So I'm like, oh man, this is great. I just love that song. And it's pretty much every episode of the first season of Luke Cage is named after a Gangstar song. That's how they're and to be clear, I wasn't a fan of any of the Netflix shows at all from Marvel personally, but I did appreciate that all of those were listed as all the names were Gangstar songs. But anyway, like really, really cool stuff. And I just applying that to this, like seeing people should be able to look to a hero for learning. And the whole theme of the email is that we're actually going to become a culture of like expert learners, and like as society, like we're already on track for that. And so for you, Mike, like this consistent sharing of like how to build these devices, or David, aka creators, like consistent showcasing of his team management. He has like teams that are helping to build his gear and his music, etc. And the fact that he keeps on putting this stuff together and shooting behind the scenes stuff, like all this stuff is really like we can all learn from that. And it would be awesome if, from a community standpoint, out of character, we're looking at other heroes, and also in character, to be able to look at other heroes and be like, I saw that Sensei did this. Now I'm training like it. Now you have a whole like training montage because a bunch of heroes saw Sensei's DIY videos. Like that's just a really lofty, but I think very attainable goal for us. Guru showed us how to make pho again.
No way to make a PVC. If you're talking Wing Chun, there is a way to make a PVC Wing Chun dummy.
I'm gonna need you to make that video for me because I need to make one.
I need a Wing Chun dummy also, and I don't have one. And I've always needed one, but I've never had one.
So boom.
Here's the thing. They're expensive, but PVC is pretty damn cheap. You can get the connectors and all. There may already be a video on that. But yeah, I could mod it up in a different one.
Dude, if you were to make your own Wing Chun dummy and then shoot a Ip Man style training montage of you hitting the dummy and then intercut that with you actually fighting a bad guy, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's amazing. Just throwing it out there. That's awesome.
So the easiest way to do it is PVC,
You can actually just do this with anything, by the way. Like we can remove the need for a build. Like if you just have a shot of you hitting that dumbbell, the kettlebell, and then a shot of you doing the same exact thing on a bad guy or like just a friend that, I think that's actually spectacular.
There's a little bit of hitting the bell in the last 10 seconds of the video I made today. But I can always do another one with more space. I put it in the doorway back here because I wanted to show, that it's something you can do with a little bit of space, a little bit of money. Because, a lot of people, they don't want to spend a lot of new equipment because the martial arts stuff is expensive, nonsensically so a lot of the time. I get that imports cost, but you know how it is. You go to these places and some of the stuff is really worth the money. And some stuff is just a clever markup.
Yeah, I was blown away when I found out those kicking pads at New York Sonda in New York were $100 each. I was like, "Are you serious?"
Oh, wow. No. You know what's
high quality though.
Right back.
It's interesting because I was thinking about initially when I joined JFH, I was planning on having a character on TikTok, Guru Merkaba, to just I was just going to put him out there and just have him just give away philosophy, like his own philosophy, not as something as like, follow me, I have all the answers, but as something, it was just like, here's something that I've been pondering on. Here's my belief. Here's my belief about me, and blah, 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 blah. But like, now I'm like, ooh, I can do that as like a little mini series. And I'm thinking of other things to put on top of that. I'm like, I love to cook.
Have you seen have you seen Guardians of Justice on Netflix?
No.
So a buddy wrote it, and Adi Shankar, if you guys know him from Bootleg Universe, he produced it. The guy who did the Power Ranger with Joseph Kahn, the guy who did the Dirty Laundry Punisher thing on YouTube, that's Adi Shankar. And so I met with Adi about ReelwUrld years ago, before it was called ReelwUrld. I thought it was cool. What I'm getting at is that the scene, the when you talk about that stuff, and I recommend watching it, not because I personally enjoy it, God bless them both, but because of how much media they use in the format for the show. It could be a cartoon at 1 second, it could be found footage, it could be premium content, it could be CG. They just throw everything at you all at once, for the entire thing. And so so like what I'm getting at is that Guru, your idea for those TikTok philosophy videos, and Mike, your DIY stuff, like all this stuff will cut together. I can't stress enough. I'm even thinking about, and I'm still unsure, I'm on the fence about this, but I have, I've been shooting JFH stuff since '99. I have content. So like, but I would consider it from my formal franchise management thinking mindset, I would consider that non-canonical content. But then I'm like, well, hold on, maybe I have to reframe this, because there's a way to potentially use some of that footage, because right now that footage was produced with teams of choreographers and teams of fight stunt people, etc. And it's all like essentially technically award-winning fight sequences, many of which people haven't seen. So I'm like, is there a way to take this stuff, reframe it in the narrative of JFH, and use it as potential clips to cut back and forth from for different moments in narrative storytelling? And as we start to build our foundational Uber for Hero style cinematic universe in the form of a season 1. So I think that there might be my only issue with it is creatively, I think it's a more interesting story to have JFH take place in our reality rather than a reality that is like a comic book style, like, oh, there was this retribution industry and all sorts of. So I'm doing my best to like really filter out like what is the stuff that's fantastical that we should be growing to as a community rather than starting at, and what is the stuff that is very, very grounded. And the stuff we've shot up to this point is incredibly grounded. And when it deviates from being grounded, meaning that and when it deviates in a way that Doctor Strange deviated by opening up a new perspective into the cinematic universe. And I would consider your content like this. Your content opens up a new perspective of what's possible for a hero, while also remaining grounded in this reality, versus like having like somebody just like, you don't just astral project as the first thing you're showing your audience. You show them Iron Man first. You show them like, hey, here's a person who like you can understand that actually built something. And then they built something that they used and it helped the world. And then by helping the world, it made people realize that it made other heroes come out too, and other villains come out. And now you have this stacking of like the stakes are getting higher and higher because one entity, one character did something in a grounded space that everything else was built on top of. So I think And now we're about to see, like, I don't know if you guys saw the new Multiverse of Madness trailer last week, but when Patrick Stewart had his line as Professor Xavier, I literally cursed in the middle of the street. I was like, holy shit. I'm watching the trailer on my phone. Like, oh
yes, yes, a big fan of Patrick Stewart.
Dude,
Big fan of Patrick Stewart.
I totally flipped out. I cannot wait to see this now. So, but all I'm getting at is that, like, you know, there are many different ways. And there's lots of value for all the stuff that we're doing. So I don't think anything's ever off the table. So Guru, if you're going to do your philosophy stuff, I'm sure that it'll cut into the main series, you know. So I'll throw that out there.
Fabulous. I'll have to upgrade my meditation space. Upgrade. I mean, just put green screen.
Guys, I don't want to keep you too much longer. My mom is calling. Let me tell her I'll call her right back. Mom, I will call you right back. I'll call you right back. I love you. Okay, bye. Always got to pick up phone. But yeah, guys, I mean, like, for this week, Guru, you're leading the charge on that the video for this week.
JFH
Mike,
ReelwUrld commercial.
Yeah, Mike, like, please check in with Guru on that if need be at all. And if you didn't post creators like his thunderclap from last week, please post it. And I'm, like I said, I'm always behind at this point on posting, so I will post as soon as I possibly can. But for this week, if either of you have let's make it, let's just solidify it right now. Let's repost vintage, and I'll just share a dope video. I think we should do that Power to the People video. We should probably repost that Power to the People video, which is really dope. I'll just share that immediately.
Let's see if we can't get the raw file from vintage.
I'll text him right now.
Yeah, because I feel like that'd be better than trying to rip it off of his social.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll message him right now. And yeah, guys, this is gonna be great.
Fabulous.
I love you guys. Thank you so much as usual. And
too.
I will continue sharing more with you guys on this martial arts cinematic universe. Like, we need a core. Like, we have people in JFH. We have a great community, and people are joining all the time. Someone named I think Gold.
Did you slyly just make an MCU?
Gold Phoenix.
No, you said martial arts cinematic universe. I was like, you just created your own MCU.
Oh my gosh! Wow, the JFH MCU. Wow. I did not know this. Thank you. So I'll keep sharing with this, because we do need to have a JFH. If we call it a martial arts cinematic universe, obviously we alienate people who don't do martial arts, which is not our intention. But for the martial arts community, framing it as a martial arts cinematic universe, because we're martial artists and we want to make sure that the martial artists have a specific place to tell their stories and to embody the things that they already want to embody. I think that this conversation between us in particular is going to require a lot more feedback. A lot more feedback as we go. So like we just had a tournament this week, and the head of the tournament wants to meet this week. And like I said, like the tournament head from the other thing that I did a few months ago, the World Series of Push Hands, like all these folks want to partner with us. So it's just a matter of managing these partnerships and like recruiting as many people as possible. Like, how can we rapidly build a martial arts community on JFH that's throwing kicks and punches and doing cool stuff? And part of that is going to be virality of our own content and just making dope stuff. And another part of that is just actually letting people know who may not have picked up their phones and found our one particular viral video or the other viral video or the other one, you know? So
heck yeah.
Awesome, guys. Love you guys. Thank you again.
Of course.
Wonderful day. And of course, anybody who watches these things, you can invest in you can become part of the cast of Justice for Hire from justiceforhire.app, become a hero, villain, or a client that hires heroes and villains, build a cinematic universe with us. Or you can invest in the company behind JFH, which is ReelwUrld, which is also us. And that's at wefunder.com/ReelwUrld for our first community round. So we're raising right now. and there's still room left in our bonus round, meaning our you get a discount for where I think we're way more than a third past that being full. So come in, join us, and we'd love you. Okay, guys, I'm pressing end. See you soon. Thanks.